Good morning, everybody. This is Bob Kingpin Harris with another edition of Pro Sports Broadcasting. And yesterday in Diamondbacks baseball, the Diamondbacks took on the Guardians in the second of a three-game series. The Diamondbacks won the game 6-3, and the Diamondbacks scored all 6 runs on home runs. First, it was a 2-run home run by Christian Walker that tied the game. And then in the 8th inning, Jake McCarthy led it off with a solo home run to put the Diamondbacks up 3-2. Then Corbin Carroll came up and hit a 2-run home run. And Lourdes Gurriel Jr. topped it off with a solo home run. Before the game, we had the opportunity of catching up with hitting coach Joe Mather.
Any of our guys, let alone our rookie in the middle of the order, is really cool. It feels like we have a real home base here, and it seems like they're showing up and they're noticing what's happening. It's really cool to hear.
Joe, I think this would be his 100th career game. Can you just kind of help us put in perspective what he's accomplished? And looking back, are there any players that you've had in the past that you feel like have done a similar amount so quickly?
No, 0 players at this point. At this age, too, he's a high school sign. Watching Jonathan India, his rookie year, he did a great job in his first 100 games. He had a few years ahead of him with college and a few more minor league games. That's the closest I've seen, though, and he had a great rookie season. Obviously won Rookie of the Year. But with what Corbin's done in the minimal minor league games out of high school, I can't think of a comparison that I've seen. I'm sure there's some back in the past, but yeah, it's hard to, especially for an American-born kid. He's flown through the system, and he's handling it very well up here in the big leagues.
Following up on Jesse's question, last year, 8 walks, 31 strikeouts.
Mm-hmm.
It starts off this year with 15 straight strikeouts, no walks. And then from that point, 14% walk rate, 18% strikeout rate. How does a player that young and that inexperienced figure it out that quickly? It's stunning.
Sure. I think, outside of his skill, right, he's very talented. He makes adjustments very well. I think his teammates have done a really good job of, being there for him when it's tough, pushing him to continue to grow, and supporting him whether he's doing really well or struggling, maybe like he did early in the year with the strikeouts and walks. But the whole group has really embraced him and really embraced his role on our team, which is a huge role. So I think between himself and his teammates, it's really helped kind of keep him going when it's tough and keep him going when he's hot.
Joe, I wanted to ask about Perdomo. If you look at his stats, not a lot of hard contact, but the whiff rate and walk rate and everything else, the discipline has improved a lot. Can you tell me what you've seen from last year to this year with Perdomo?
Sure. The good eye is something he's always had. I think he's put it together to another level this year. He's seeing pitches every at-bat. When he goes up and does swing at the first pitch, it's usually a good pitch to swing at. We saw a sac fly last night. We saw a double a couple nights ago. Hard contact isn't necessary to win a big league ball game, nor to be an everyday big league player. What's really more necessary is having a good eye, plate discipline, getting on base one way or another. Hard contact for guys who have that is just a bonus. So we certainly don't discriminate on how hard we're hitting our hits. We're going to take them all. And to his credit, he's hitting a lot of balls on the line, so those balls are going to drop no matter how hard you hit them. And then just being a pest up there, working deep into counts, going from 0-2 to walks, turning the lineup over to face some hitters that pitchers definitely don't want to face. So he's done a really good job of embracing that role and getting walks when pitchers definitely don't want to walk him.
When he went to the Dominican this past winter, was there any kind of mandate or plan in place for him when he went there?
We worked a little bit on his swing, his movements. Damian Easley, myself, Perdomo, kind of a team effort. Just kind of worked on his base, ultimately his lower half, and said, why don't you go feel these moves and compete, make adjustments while you're out there. But the big thing was to go out and compete and take the work that he grew to really love in our short window in the offseason before winter ball, and go use that in winter ball, see how it plays. And he did that. He did a great job in winter ball, carried it over in the spring, and it's paying off here in the regular season for us.
Haven led off again yesterday. Just kind of what's the thought process of keeping him still in that spot, and why did he go back to that spot yesterday?
Not sure on the lineup stuff. Fortunately, that's a Tory call, but he does a great job of getting on base. Right, sees another guy who sees a lot of pitches, whether he gets a hit or not, and he also always has the potential to pop one. Has the potential to line a ball anywhere over the field. And like we mentioned earlier, he's taken walks. There's a couple games where he's been on base 4 or 5 times. That's huge at the top of our order. It really sets the tone, especially if Perdomo's getting on in front of him in that 9-hole, 8-hole. Puts a lot of pressure on teams, and he's handled it really well. He's always constantly working, definitely always working on the swing and the path. But the big thing for him is competing and getting on base for us up there.
Going back to Perdomo, the StatCast metrics would suggest that there might be some regression in store there, but they've kind of said that the whole year and it hasn't really happened. Do you feel like there might be some part of his game that those metrics just don't quite capture fully?
For sure. Yeah, I think his competitive nature stands out, and that's definitely nothing that you can quite put a number on. He goes up to the plate extremely focused, extremely determined. As much as anyone on our squad, and sometimes that can take over, right? Sometimes just that desire and that wanting to win the battle, him versus that pitcher. He's relentless with it. I think that's not going to show up outside of him just outperforming what people are going to think he's going to do.
It seems like Evan Longoria has been really important for you guys, especially against lefties. What have you seen from him this year?
Yeah, he's been outstanding versus lefties. Some big home runs, big at-bats. He brings a lot of good thoughts to our hitters' meetings, his teammates around him. When we're facing righties, he's in the dugout talking, watching pitchers, watching the game, just talking the game. So from on the field to off the field, he's been just a great addition. I think everyone is excited he's here, and we faced him over across the way for a couple years. But he really feels like a D-back to us. We don't look at him as anything other than that, other than one of our brothers and teammates.
Since that groin injury, what have you seen out of Gurriel this last week?
Yeah, I think just trying to find that rhythm again. He was going so well before that injury. And just, when you have to sit down for a few days and you can't take, the full swing that you want to take or work at the capacity you want to work at, it ends up taking a little bit longer to come back. He's still a pretty dangerous bat for us in the lineup. And I think every day, just like since he's come back, every day we're pretty excited to have him out there and feeling like he's going to get going again, which is truly just a matter of time.
Is it the timing thing that you're seeing with him, or something that's sort of changed a little bit?
Probably timing. Yeah, probably timing. I think it's the first thing to go when you have days off, especially when you're not able to really work during that time. I'd say that's the most common thing for guys, and probably what's happening there with him as well.
What about Carson? Is that also a timing thing with how much time he missed, still ramping up that back?
Yeah, so I think he had 34, 35 plate appearances in AAA before coming up. And then he's meeting us well into the regular season. So it's not, he's not starting the season fresh with everyone. The season's new and everyone's settling in. Everyone's pretty much settled in. So, the pitchers are a little bit more dialed in. As good as the pitchers are in AAA, they're definitely better, at this level. So he did a nice job of settling in Reno, and now he's kind of working that process here with us in Phoenix.
I'm just curious where you guys stand with efficiency and efficacy of cage work versus on-field BP. How do you feel about it, and how do the players feel about it? Where they get the most out of it?
Sure. I think as long as there's a mixture of both on some level, I really have no issue with any of it. We can do pretty much anything that we would do on field in the cage and in the cage on field. There's enough technology out there where we can get batted ball data. We don't have to see it fly, although that's always nice. It's one of the benefits of hitting on field is you get to see the ball flight. But we have in the cages stuff that'll tell us that as well. So sometimes having that cage setting is better for hitters where they're not worried about where the ball's going. They're not trying to hit home runs, although I don't believe that's a big thing anyway for most guys. But they're certainly not getting discouraged when the ball doesn't leave the yard and they've hit it well. There's probably a lot of hitters will talk about that. But other than that, it's kind of what you need in that moment. There's nothing, closer to the game than hitting on the field because the surroundings are the same. But the way they ramp up in the cages, there's really no drop for me.
What have you guys heard about Alec Thomas, and what are you looking to see before hitting him back up?
Yeah, he's done a great job down there. He's faced both righties and lefties a ton. He's turned it around versus lefties. Numbers have been great. He's got the ball off the ground a little bit. I think now it's just he's probably putting the pressure on the decision makers because he's doing such a great job. But for us on the hitting side, he's made adjustments, he's tried things, and then he's executed since he's gone down. So for us, he's kind of knocked those out. And at this point, it's just probably a matter of time and where he fits and how that works with the roster.
Do you guys get a lot of video on hitters to look at the specific things you've asked them to work on? Mike has said before, we really don't pay any attention to Reno numbers, and the team OPS is 895, and the league OPS is 835.
Yeah. It's a good environment to hit. Yeah.
I mean, the results just can't really tell you anything. So
Right.
do they actually send back a lot of stuff for you guys to look at?
Yeah, we have access to video on our phone of the whole system, iPad or phone, however someone wants to use it. So at any point, we can go back and check last night's game, back to opening day, which we do quite a bit of. We have two of our big league hitting coaches are kind of tasked with keeping an eye on them. So they'll report anything that comes up, anything notable, any questions we have, we'll send through them. But yeah, we see quite a bit of video. We'll check the swing decisions. Those are, constant. If you're swinging at strikes, you're probably good. If you're swinging at balls, it's going to be tough, regardless of the league. So we can check that stuff when we check the video.
Is that better views and angles than, say, those of us that watch on minor league baseball TV?
Yep.
I assume, but I didn't know what technology.
A little clearer, a little more consistent, yeah.
Do you personally like your AAA players hitting in an environment like that, or does it sometimes get frustrating as a coach where you'll look at things and it just screams positive results, and then up here it doesn't translate the same way? Because obviously it's not the same as it is.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. It's for the hitting staff, I would say it's probably never frustrating to see them go have results. Confidence is such a big factor in this that even with the numbers being up and it being a good environment to hit, if you hit a home run, you've still done something pretty well. Does it translate up here? We don't know until it'll get up here. We can't really, it's tough to guess. It really is. I think that's probably why we go to swing decisions as much as anything. Make sure they're, not chasing a crazy amount and just hitting the one strike they hit in at bat. It's definitely difficult on the decision makers, but for us it's probably neither here nor there.
Yeah, you have pitching coaches are like.
Yeah, probably complete opposite. Yeah.
Dom Canzone, more walks and strikeouts with power.
Yeah.
How much video are you getting to see on him?
I've seen quite a bit of video on Dom. He came out and had a good spring with us last year and had a nice season, got hurt a little bit, but it's an electric bat. There's something that's pretty exciting about the way he connects with the ball. It's different, it sounds different. His ability this year to walk more than strike out, kind of adds to that. But he's always been an interesting one for me. It's a little different. You know, he has his own way of moving, but you know, you can't really argue with the way the ball comes off the bat.